The next family that we're going to hear from is the family of Sergeant First Class Joseph Mayo. He served in the United States Army for almost 10 years. He deployed to combat 3 times, spending 6 months in Afghanistan and 25 months of his life in Iraq. Joe is the recipient also of a Purple Heart due to combat injuries. He's also earned a Bronze Star, Army Commendation Medals, Meritorious Service Medals, and an Army Achievement Medals as well. Sergeant Mayo is not eligible for another clemency hearing also until 2011 because of the length of his sentence. These are the stories that we need to go back and tell, that the men who are behind bars are decorated war heroes. These are men who gave it all. They signed the blank check with their lives for us, and this is the way we've treated them. Joel Mayo is coming up with the family.
I'm Joe's younger brother. With me today is Joe's mother, Debbie, his godmother, Lori, godbrother, Joe, his high school sweetheart and wife of 10 years, Joanna Mayo, and his 3 beautiful children, Aolani, who is 12, Joseph Angel, who is 7, and Annalisa, who is 2 years old. Joe has always wanted to serve his country in the military. Coming from a family with a strong military background, as soon as he graduated from high school, Joe enlisted in the United States Army, where he proudly served for almost 10 years. And of course, like she said, during this time, he deployed 3 times, 6 months in Afghanistan, total of 25 months in Iraq. While serving, Joe has held the positions of driver, team leader, squad leader, platoon sergeant, and was always an astounding leader, always putting the welfare of his soldiers above his own. He cared deeply for his men, and I know it affects him to this day to think about the men, his brothers, who lost their lives serving beside him. Their memories and the memories of many other soldiers shroud his mind and have affected him in many ways I can't even describe. I can only imagine the pain he feels knowing they're gone. These men were his brothers. I know that if I lost Joe, I would be devastated. I couldn't even think about it without shedding a tear. Like, just imagine losing 3 of your closest brothers just in the course of a few years. And Joe did that. These were his brothers. Joe himself almost lost his life while returning to his post after a patrol. His vehicle was hit by an RPG on the front right passenger side where he was sitting. Thankfully, thank God, Joe survived the encounter, but suffers from permanent hearing loss, traumatic brain injury, and severe post-traumatic stress disorder. It earned him many distinctions, to include the Bronze Star and Purple Heart, but these rewards cannot heal the battle scars and memories that will haunt him. On April 30th, 2009, Joe pled guilty for shooting one of the insurgents. No one can imagine the state of mind he was in that day, with all the stresses of battle, the lack of sleep, the malnutrition, the frustrations of having to fight the same enemy over and over again. While searching the area after being shot at, they found caches of weapons and sniper scopes. They tried to have the insurgents detained, but due to the detainee catch and release policy, they were told to let them go. Knowing that they would be back on the streets and capable of killing more American soldiers, Joe did what he thought was necessary to keep his men alive. If you were put into that same situation, what would you have done? What would you have done to keep your family safe? Joe is an amazing hero who I have always and continue to this day to look up to. He is loving, caring, one of the funniest men that I've ever met, and always puts his family above himself. He goes above and beyond the call of duty as husband and father. Just by seeing him interact with his kids, you can see how important they are to each other. The kids miss their father so much, all of us do. It kills me to see my niece cry every time she has to leave seeing her father during visitation. My nephew Joseph, he needs a father around as a male role model. And my niece Lisa only spent 9 months with her daddy before he left and barely knows him. These kids need their father. Help us get Sergeant First Class Mayo home. Help us support him, and thank you all so much. Please go to the website, www.defendjosephmayo.com. God bless.
It's kind of hard to talk after these stories. At least it is for me, but this is something we have to get done. We have to know these stories, we have to know these families, because you can't possibly go forward unless you know what you're talking about. And visit the websites. They're full of information, and they'll give you the tools that you need to spread the message. The next family we'll be hearing from is Master Sergeant John Hatley's family. John and two other soldiers who we've heard from already, Sergeant Michael Leahy and Sergeant First Class Joseph Mayo, were charged with murdering 4 Iraqi detainees on one of their missions at the end of March 2007. The 4 men these soldiers were convicted of murdering were never identified by name, nor were their bodies found. There was also no ballistics or forensic evidence found to support the men were even killed. Sergeant Leahy, Master Sergeant John Hartley were found guilty of premeditated murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Sergeant First Class Mayo pled and was found guilty of premeditated murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Master Sergeant John Hatley was given an automatic life sentence, which was reduced to 40 years. He has served multiple deployments to Iraq, Kuwait, and Kosovo. He received his Ranger Tab and was awarded 2 Bronze Stars. Master Sergeant Hatley is not eligible for a clemency hearing until 2016 due to the length of his sentence. I mean, that's just stunning. And speaking on behalf of the family is Jake? Yep. Richard Jacobs, but we call him Jake.
Good afternoon. Very proud, very honored to be able to speak on behalf of John Hatley this afternoon. A little bit of irony here. Just north of here, on the Fort Leavenworth Army base, is a cemetery, and just to the east of us here is the National Cemetery, very famous. And I will guarantee you that there are fewer people in that cemetery just because of John Hatley and these other 9 that we're talking about today. I met John in Germany in 2006. John served with the 18th Infantry in Iraq and also in Kosovo. I served with the 18th Infantry in Vietnam, which automatically makes us brothers. We're not blood relation, but we are brothers. And I would definitely be proud to call him my son. Now, Renee, my wife, and my daughter Victoria, we visit John occasionally. We try to make it over there every 2 weeks to Leavenworth Prison. And it's inspiring to be in his presence because he maintains his professionalism, his honor, and his integrity. And he never ever says a disparaging word about any of the people who put him there or any of the people who failed to come to his defense when they court-martialed him. That's just the kind of guy he is. He was convicted because of the politics involved, the rules of engagement, and also the SOPs. And he calls SOPs the stupid operating procedures instead of standard operating procedures. In 2008, before John was court-martialed, he had made the Sergeant's Major list. That's the kind of guy he is. After 19 and a half years in the Army, he was on the accelerated list to be a Sergeant Major. I'm not going to make any comments about the trial because the appeal is still ongoing. That's pretty well been covered already. I do have to take notes and write these down because over the years the combination of Agent Orange, alcohol, and sunlight have kind of affected my memory. John has so many awards. The time that I was given to speak, I don't have time to read all the awards off or the citations that he's gotten. But the Army holds him right up there with the likes of Audie Murphy, and he has been inducted into the Order of St. Maurice, who is the patron saint of the infantry. You can't help but love the guy whenever you're around him, and we are so fortunate to be able to visit him. And I can't say any more than has already been said about all these fine young warriors, and that's what they are. They're all warriors, and we're all better off for having known them, and we'll be joined with them again. Do you want anything, Dick? my daughter Victoria.
Hi, I've personally been in the presence of John Hatley, and his optimism and his attitude during this whole process is just so inspiring to a young college student who deals with men whose biggest problem is getting on Call of Duty and video games. I would say to all of you here, thank you so much for coming out and supporting an amazing cause. And all I can say to those who aren't with us today, if you think our bikes are loud, you should hear our voices.
I just want to say that knowing John has really been a privilege, and that I know if his wife Kim were here that she would thank all of you for coming out and supporting, and hopefully this will come to an end soon. Thank you.
One more thing, quick. I talked with John's mother, Mrs. Hatley. They live down in Groesbeck, Texas, and I talked with her yesterday and asked if there's anything that I could say on her behalf to all of you out there, and she said, well, John has always been a protector. He's promised from an early age, when he was a young man, he promised that he would always protect his dad and me and his country. And he's doing a pretty damn good job of it. Thank you.
Family that will be represented is Michael Pat Williams, Army Ranger. He's the smiling face under the zero. Now, this is a man who was finished with his career in the military when 9/11 happened, and he rejoined the military. He's been to Kuwait, twice to Iraq. He served with Johnny Horn, and he's eligible now for his 4th clemency hearing this month on a 25-year sentence. His mother, Annetta Davis Parker.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak for my son, and you can see he may be the smallest picture up there, but he's probably got the biggest smile. That was right after Ranger School. We were so proud, and he was so proud. And like she said, he served his country. He went to Kuwait. He helped in the rescue of 2 of our men that had crossed enemy lines back in the early 90s. Then he served his tour, and then after 9/11, like Larry said, we called for the brave and the strong, and he answered that call and re-enlisted as regular Army, and he served proudly our country. So I come to you as a mother, as a grandmother, a patriot, and and a Christian most of all. The good thing that's happened out of this is last year, not this June, but the June before, my son accepted Jesus Christ as his Savior. So hallelujah. That's something wonderful that's come of this. And he is an influencer, he is a change agent, and he is in protective custody for being beaten unmercifully, and he had only defensive wounds. That shows what control he has in the Army. He knew that anything he did would be used against him, as the system is, and we still believe in our American judicial system. Things happen, bad things happen. My son is a result of some bad things that happened. My son married a woman that had a little baby, 10 months old. They were married right the week before he was deployed the 2nd time. He came home, and then she got pregnant with their baby girl. He has never held his 6-year-old at all. He's seen her 1 time. I saw him last night. He's in good spirits. We believe, the fact is, he has 25 years. Last year it was reduced down in his clemency hearing to 20. We believe the fact is he is to serve 25 years, now 20. The truth is he is going to be released just as your sons, your brothers, your husbands. This year we're believing that. So I say, God bless America. Land of the free. They fought for it. Thank you so much. I want for you parents, particularly the mothers, a scripture came to me that I've really been standing on, Jeremiah 31, 16, and 17. I'll give you the generalized version, my version. It says, mothers, dry your tears, stop your weeping. Your children will return safely to their borders. I'm standing on that. God bless you.